Okay, hello everyone, back again with me, and today we're going to continue what we just started last Tuesday, right? So this is the part two of the pronouns. Make sure you download the material before you start this video, okay? This one, part two. What jobs can pronouns do? 3.12 overview: subject pronouns, object pronouns, and possessive pronouns. So in this part, you're going to learn about the pronouns of the subject, pronouns as the object, and also what we call as possessive pronouns. You have already learned the first part, which means that you already have your background knowledge about the pronouns, right? So we continue with the advanced material of the pronouns. This is the second part, the last part actually of the pronouns. So maybe you won't find the complete discussion of pronouns here because this is not what we call as advanced structure. This is only the basic English structure. So this is only the discussion of what we learn in the very basic, in the very surface of what is structure. Okay. So the first here you can see your own module. The roles pronouns can play divide them into three distinct groups: subject pronouns, and possessive pronouns. Also, guys, before we continue, I'd like to say that from today's on, maybe, yeah, I won't do what we call as bilingual as usual. Usually, I speak it in English and then I translate them into Indonesian, but I hope you can understand me even though I use only English. So for today's on, we're going to do full English. This is also to improve your listening skill so you can understand or get more skill in listening. So I hope this will improve your English too. So we won't do any bilingual stuff from now. Okay? Okay, let's continue with our lesson. You can see some a picture here. Maybe we can call them like a diagram. The first one is the subject pronouns, object pronouns, and also the possessive pronouns. All of them are replacing nouns. Yeah, so all the functions of the subject and object, also possessive pronouns, functions in replacing noun, whether the noun is person or thing. Yeah, you can see the example below. Yeah, the subject noun, subject pronoun. If the subject noun is Ben, so then the subject pronoun becomes he. When the subject noun is Maria, the subject pronouns becomes she. Also, when we switch them as an object in a sentence, Ben becomes him, not he anymore. He and she works only as subject, while as object he becomes him, she becomes her. Okay. As for the possessive pronoun, I already explained before. I already mentioned also about how many of them, right? So Ben's as the possessive noun becomes his in the possessive pronoun, and Maria's in possessive noun becomes hers in possessive pronoun, whether as subject or object. Okay, so let's continue. As what I said before, you have already learned in part 1 that the form of a pronoun gives information about grammar, person, number, and gender. So we already learned about what we call as grammar, person, number, and gender in the previous lesson. So if you haven't followed our first part explanation or discussion of this pronoun, make sure you watch them. Yeah, make sure you watch the video, the previous video. It's also available on my YouTube, so don't be hesitate to rewatch it if you still feel confused about it. Also, guys, I just checked, yeah, the video, and I didn't find any comment of you that asking about the first part of the pronoun, and I accept that as you already understood about the first part because no questions, which means that you are understood about the first part. So we won't have trouble in advancing to the second part. Okay, so let's back to the PDF here. The first person speaking, second person spoken to, or third person spoken about. Already explained before. So that yes, already explained before. And for the number, we divide them into the singular and also the plural. Yes, singular one in number and plural is more than one, including two, three, four, seven, yeah, something like that. And then gender, we divide them into three. The first one is masculine, which stands for man, feminine, which stands for woman or male and female, masculine for male and feminine for female, like that, or neuter, which stands for things that we cannot define whether the thing is masculine or feminine. Okay, we continue. The role played by a pronoun in the sentence determines whether a subject pronoun, an object pronoun, or a possessive pronoun is used. Okay, so the role played by a pronoun in the sentence determines whether a subject pronoun, an object pronoun, or a possessive pronoun is used. So in this part, you're going to analyze or you're going to understand more in how we put a subject pronoun, object pronoun, or a possessive pronoun in a sentence. Okay, especially in a simple sentence which only consists of a, a clause. Yeah. The following charts show person, number, and gender for the three groups of pronoun. For the chart, guys, I believe this will be more simple if you just try to understand them by yourself because this is already really simple. Yeah, so try to understand this chart by yourself. Okay, a subject pronoun performs the action of the verb. Okay, we must aware that a subject pronouns always performs the action of the verb. The role is almost same like a subject in a sentence, but um, maybe sometimes we use the subject as a noun, like Andy plays music or Andy plays guitar. So Andy is a noun there, but if we switch to the pronoun becomes he plays guitar. Then he stands for subject pronoun. Okay, so let's continue. If you feel confused about my explanation, you are free to comment my video with your own question that you are confused. Yeah, that you're confused about. So we move to the next page. This is the object pronouns. Also, like the previous chart, try to understand them by yourself. We have seven kinds of object pronouns, including me, you, him, her, it, us, you again, and them. Yeah. So basically, there are seven. If you divide them into singular or plural, we have like eight. Why eight? Because you can be singular, can be plural. So these object pronouns stands after the verb. Yeah, it always stands after the verb. It's not placed in front of a sentence, but it's always after the verb. Okay, an object pronoun receives the action of the verb or is used in a prepositional phrase. So it always after the verb. It never placed in front of the sentence. If it is placed in front of the sentence, then it will become a subject pronoun, not an object pronoun. Okay. So when the pronoun is in front of the sentence, it becomes a subject pronoun. But if the pronoun is placed after the verb, it becomes the object pronouns. Okay, so never put I. Yeah, never put I or she or he or they after the verb. Never. Okay, you must place them in front of the sentence, but after the verb you can switch them into me, you, him, her, it, us, or them. Okay, about the translation, make sure you try to find it by yourself because I'm not going to do the lingual anymore. Okay, so for example, yeah, Diana gives Julie a book. Yeah, Diana gives Julie a book. Let's see the subject. The subject is Diana. If you want to change them into pronoun, it becomes subject pronouns. So Diana is she. She gives Julie a book, right? And then we want to change Julie into pronouns too. Since Julie comes after the verb, yeah, since Julie comes after the verb, which means that Julie is the person who receives the action, and the action is gives, yeah. So Julie must be transformed into pronouns, that is object pronouns. So Julie not becomes she but her. Okay. So if we transform the sentence by using pronouns, it becomes Diana, no, she gives her a book. Okay, so Diana becomes she, Julie becomes her. Okay, so that's the rule. That's the main rule. Okay, for more examples, I think I will just give you like a simple exercise after this, so you may practice by yourself how to put a subject pronoun or object pronoun in your own sentence. Okay, so we will continue to the next one. This is the possessive pronouns. Okay, in possessive pronouns, of course, the words also different. um we have mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, yours again, and then theirs. A possessive pronoun stands alone and shows relationship or ownership. It has no apostrophe. Okay, so a possessive pronoun stands alone and shows relationship or ownership. Okay, like my previous example, the book is mine. Yeah, my previous example in our previous meeting, I gave you an example of that book is mine. Mine shows relationship of the book. Okay, if we change the book into the subject pronoun, it will become it. It is mine. Yeah, that book is my book, and then that book becomes the subject pronoun of it, and then my book becomes the possessive pronouns of mine. Okay, so if the object that receives the action of the verb, it becomes object pronouns. But when the object shows um, ownership, it becomes possessive pronouns. Okay. Next section will illustrate subject and object pronouns. Charts show you where to find the matching pronouns. Maybe if this is your first time learning about what we call as subject pronoun, object pronouns, or possessive pronouns, this will be a bit confusing, yeah. But later on, when you do lots of practice, I make sure this will be very easy. Okay, because this is really easy to identify whether the noun stands for the whether the noun can be transformed into the subject pronouns or object pronouns or possessive pronouns. Okay, so what you need after this is lots of practice. Okay, so don't be confused already because we will continue this material and later on you will have your practice. Okay, as what the book said before, the next section will illustrate subject and object pronouns. Charts show you where to find the matching pronouns. 3.13 A great start, subject pronouns. So this chapter will show you deeper about how you put subject pronouns in your sentence. Okay. A subject pronoun identifies what the sentence is all about. Okay. A subject pronoun identifies what the sentence is all about. But for English students, for students that are English, that is English as their first language, maybe this definition will gives lots of knowledge, will gives lots of understanding, yeah. But maybe for us who learns English not as our first language but our foreign language, maybe this definition will confuse you. Okay, so I will just make this simple. Yeah, as long as it placed in front of the sentence, it becomes the subject. Okay, the thing will go different if we try to transform a sentence that is in a passive form. But for now we don't learn about passive form yet. Yeah, we haven't learned about passive form yet, but later we will learn about that, and then you will understand even deeper about these pronouns. Okay, so let's say that any noun that introduce the meaning of the sentence, which is in front of the sentence, can be said as subject pronouns. Okay, for example, in this sentence, Maria swims. Yeah, Maria swims. So in this sentence we can identify the noun as Maria, and then we have a verb there which is swims. So Maria performs the action. Okay, so Maria performs the action, and the sentence is all about Maria. So we can change Maria into the subject pronouns and it becomes she. Okay. What about if the subject is Albert? Then the subject pronouns becomes he. What about this if the subject is more than one, like Maria and Daisy swim? So Maria and Daisy can be transformed into the subject pronouns of they. Okay, and so on. Okay, so don't be confused yet. Yeah, this is still simple. Okay, maybe later when we talk about verb you will suffer more. Okay, so this is not hell yet. Okay, so try to understand this chart because this is very very simple. Yeah, I will just continue to the next chapter. Yeah, to the next page. As you can see here, the new sentence of the the sentence transform into the subject pronouns becomes she swims. Okay. There is also an explanation here in like a paragraph of explanation of what happens above. Yeah, so you just read this and then try to understand them. Yeah, this is this is all so simple. Okay. The explanation explains also about how the gender gives effect, yeah, to what subject pronouns to be used in the sentence. Okay, when we talk about Maria, and then we already know that the person must be feminine and not masculine. So it is obvious that we use the subject pronouns of she. Okay, so next, apply the same analysis in the text example where the subject is a thing. Okay, so in the next example, we can see this example here. The pool opens. Yeah. So from this sentence, we can analyze that the sentence talk about the pool. Yeah. Um, and there is also a verb which is opens, and before the verb we have the noun. Yeah, we have a noun, which is the pool. So it is obvious that the subject is the pool, and the pool here stands for a noun. And then if we want to change them into the pronouns, it is so simple. Since this is a noun as subject, yeah, a noun as subject, so we need to change them or to transform them into the pronoun as subject. Okay, so the pool, we don't know, yeah, the pool in what gender it is, so it is not a feminine or masculine, so it must be a neuter. Okay, so we can use the pronouns subject it. Okay, and the new sentence becomes it opens. Okay, so that's the other example. Um, we move to 3.14, subject and object pronouns together. Okay, verbs play a central role in a sentence. So in a sentence, it can has a subject and an object pronoun together. Okay, in a sentence. So how is it? How is it? Let's see. A direct object pronoun receives the action of the verb. The verb in this type of sentence is called an action verb. Okay? A direct object pronoun receives the action of the verb. The verb in this type of sentence is called an action verb. Okay, so to make it simple, any noun that comes after the verb can be transformed into object pronouns, and any noun that comes before the verb can be transformed into the subject pronoun. So it is that simple. Okay, let's see the example. Here, Charles wrote a book. So the first thing you need to do is to find out where is the verb, and the verb is wrote, right? This is the verb to, or what we call as past verb, yeah, wrote. And then the word before the verb is Charles. So this is the subject. And the word after wrote is a book. So this is the object. Okay? And then we switch Charles into the subject pronouns because it is a subject. Charles is masculine. Okay? He is a man. So we need to change them into subject pronouns of he. And then a book is neuter. We don't know whether the book is masculine or feminine. So we need to use the object pronoun it. So if we transform them by using the pronouns, it can become it will become uh, he wrote it. Yeah. Charles becomes he and a book becomes it. The verb stands like that. Okay? Stand still. So the new sentence becomes he wrote it. Okay, seems like when you want to say Diana and Charles, Diana and Charles mm, read a novel. Yeah, Diana and Charles read a novel. So Diana and Charles is the subject, and a novel is the object. Diana and Charles can be switched into the subject pronouns of they. Yeah, the verb read stands still as read. So they read, and then the object becomes it. Yeah, a novel can be transformed into it. So the new sentence becomes they read it. Okay. Okay. So this is the analysis. Yeah, this is the analysis. So you just read them by yourself. The next example shows a plural subject. Already explained. Yeah, already explained, yeah, in my previous example, yeah, an example that we just taught, okay, that I just gave you. Also this we have the explanation, and then the next example here. Okay, we jump to the next part, 2.15, a different job object pronouns with preposition. Okay, we haven't learned about preposition yet, so maybe we can just skip this one. But maybe some of you already know about some of the prepositions like in, at, on, but I think this is not the right time to talk about this. Yeah, object pronouns. But let's just discuss this. Yeah. You have learned object pronouns are also used with prepositions. You have learned that action verbs and direct object pronouns go together. The direct object receives the action of the verb. The object pronouns me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them are also used with prepositions. Each one of them can be used to complete a prepositional phrase. So let's jump to the example so you can understand this easily. Object pronouns with prepositions. Okay, maybe this is a simple example for you that you can find almost in your daily life. Yeah, Ben stands under the lifeguard chair. Okay, so let's analyze the nouns. The nouns is Ben, and then we have also the noun as object, the lifeguard chair. Okay, so we can switch Ben and also the lifeguard chair into into pronouns, right? Also, we have a verb here, which is stands, and also a preposition, which is under. Okay, so even though we haven't learned about preposition, but let me give you a simple explanation of what preposition is. So um, preposition always gives you information about the noun, like the place, or maybe like it it always answers the questions of where, when, yeah, and something like that. Okay, so it can be under, it can be on, it can be in, it can be at, and we have many more actually. Later when we talk about preposition, you will learn deeper about that. Okay, so this is only a simple explanation of what preposition is. Okay, so for example, his band stands under the lifeguard chair. As what we discussed before, that we have put band and the lifeguard chair as nouns, right? So band can be switched into the subject pronouns. Why? Because band comes before the verb stands. So band can be transformed into the subject pronoun of he, because Ben must be masculine, right? So he stands under the lifeguard chair. So the lifeguard chair can also be switched into the object pronouns. Why object pronouns? Because this noun comes after the verbs. The verb stands. Yeah, it's not before, it's after. Even though there is a preposition before it. Okay, why there is preposition before this one? Before this noun? Well, preposition always comes before noun. It always. Okay, like when you say I am in a hospital. In is also a preposition. It comes before, yeah, before the noun hospital, right? So that is the main role of preposition. Okay, let's just skip that. Let's back to this example. The lifeguard chair as object pronoun. We we are not sure whether the lifeguard chair has a gender, right? We don't know whether the lifeguard chair is feminine or masculine, but it is obvious that this is neuter, right? So we use the pronoun, the object pronoun of it. Okay, so Ben stands under the lifeguard chair. He stands under the lifeguard chair. He stands under it. Okay, like this new sentence. Ben stands under it, right? Or we can switch Ben into he. He stands under it. Yeah, it can be also like that. Okay. Next example, the bathing suit is for Maria. Yeah. So let's see the bathing suit. This is a subject, right? The bathing suit. We can switch this one into the pronoun of it, and then is here as the verb. Yeah, even though it is not a main verb, but only auxiliary verb or helping verb, but still is a verb. Okay. After is we have a preposition for, and then we have the noun Maria. Maria can be switched into the preposition object of her, yeah, because it is subject. If it is as a subject, it becomes she, but as object, it becomes her. Okay, so the new sentence can be it is for her, yeah, or we can say the bathing suit is for her. If you want to change the bathing suit, it can be switched into it. Yeah, it is for her. Yeah, more simple. Okay. Next we have 3.16, the possessive pronouns. A possessive pronoun shows relationship as what we have discussed before. We skip this one. Yeah. Let's take another look at subject pronouns, and then we'll move on to possessive pronouns. Okay, this is the subject pronouns, this is the possessive pronouns. So I in subject pronouns, as possessive pronouns, it becomes mine, you becomes yours, he becomes his, she becomes hers, and then the neuter it, yeah, this one becomes its. We becomes ours, you becomes yours, same here. They becomes theirs. Remember, yeah, you here can be singular, can be plural. Also, same rule with yours as possessive pronouns. It can be singular, it can be pronoun, it can be plural. Okay? So, possessive pronouns are based on the subject pronouns and indicate the person or persons to whom they refer. Okay, this is a bit difficult to understand. So we just to possessive pronouns stand alone, like all the other pronouns covered so far. In the example, it is hers. Hers refers to Anna's hula hoop. An apostrophe is used with a possessive noun, but never with a possessive pronoun. Okay, so this example is it is hers. Yeah. Another example. Listen. Yeah, another example. It is Anna's book. Okay, it is Anna's book. So Anna's book is possessive noun, right? Anna and then a single apostrophe and then you add s. Anna's book. It is Anna's book. So if we want to use possessive pronouns, sure we can. It becomes it is her. It is hers, like that. Okay. Or the book is Anna's. The book is Anna's books. Is Anna's book. The book is Anna's book. It becomes the book is hers or it is hers. Same. Okay. Sama. Okay. Let's move to the 3.17 question words revisited. Okay. The question words who and what were introduced in part 1. Yes, we have discussed about this. Pronouns used as question words have several jobs to do. They are used to identify both subjects and objects. Let's take a closer look at question words asking about subjects. Okay? Question words asking about the subject. The question word who is used to identify a person acting as a subject. The question word what is used to identify an inanimate object or thing or animal acting as a subject. So we always use who when we want the answer. Yeah, we want the answer of the questions is about human. Yeah, about people, yeah, about thing that has gender, masculine or feminine. But when we want the answer about um, inanimate thing like book or chair or class or school or etc., something like that, then we will use the question word what. Okay, so what is for the neuter gender. So let's see the examples. This one, we want to know who swims, which means that the one that swims must be a human, right? And then the answer is Susan swims. But when we want to know about thing that has not any gender like feminine or masculine, then we use what? What opens? The pool opens. The pool doesn't have gender of masculine or feminine. It stands for neuter gender. Okay, so that's the only difference. So simple. Okay. Okay. The question word who changes to whom when asking about an object. Okay. So in WH questions, we have so many W questions like what, where, who, whom, whose, when, and etc. Right? There are lots of them. So in this section, we talk about who. When we want to talk about the subject, we use the question word who. But when we want to talk about or the answer about the object, we will use the question word whom. Okay. So this is the sample questions. When we want to use who, we are asking about the subject who loves Susan. He loves her. So this is what we want from the question. This is the answer what we want from the question. But we want to know um, the object of the love. Question would change into whom. It becomes he loves whom, and then this is the answer we want. He loves her. Okay, so it is only about the purpose of our question. The purpose of our question, the answer that we want from the question. We can use who when we want to ask about the subject information, and you can use whom when we want to know about the object of information. Okay, so it is that simple. But when there is no object of the answer, you you obviously cannot use whom. Okay, you can only use who. Like when the answer is she reads, and then who reads? Who reads a book? If the answer is she, Susan reads a book, and then the question when we want to know the person who read the book, who reads the book. But when we want to know the object of the answer of Susan reads a book, it becomes she reads what? She reads whom? She reads what? Ya, bisa juga ya. It can be like that. She reads what? Whom is for people, ya. Whom is for people. But when the object is not people, is thing that is neuter, then we use what. Okay, so let's move to another. This is what I just explained. Yeah, he wrote what? He wrote it. It has no gender or feminine or masculine. It is neuter, so it becomes what. Okay, next we have question word asking about a possessive noun. Okay, so the question word whose is used to identify possession or ownership. Yeah, this is for possession. Okay, so you don't use who book is it. No, you don't use that. Yeah, you can use whose. Yeah, whose is it? Or whose book is it? Whose pen is it? Whose girlfriend is it? Or maybe you can just say, whose is it? Okay, and then the answer can be, it is mine. Whose book is it? It is my book. Okay, no more explanation actually about this. This is pretty simple, yeah. You just need to know how to use it. Okay, we have come to 3.18. This is the last page here, overview of pronouns. For this one, I'd like you to read them by yourself. Why? Because this is like the conclusion of what we have learned from the part 1 until this last part. So read this by yourself, and I hope you can understand all about pronouns that I have explained before on Tuesday and also today. So still, yeah, if you still have questions, you may ask me through the comment section, so I will reply as soon as possible. And that's it for today. Thank you for attending this meeting. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you next week, and goodbye.